You think you know the Great Wall of China, bricks and stone stretching 5,500 miles through mountains and deserts, a defense against northern invaders. Emperor Qin Shi Huang orders it built in 220 BC. Millions die during construction, the longest cemetery on Earth. But nobody talks about the passages that face the wrong direction, the tunnels discovered 4,300 years old that make no sense. The inscriptions, scholars cannot decode. The sections deliberately left unbuilt in places where invasion was certain. The arrow slits pointing south toward China itself. Over 220 hidden doors found in 2023 that break through solid wall at random intervals. 6 underground corridors beneath a stone city that shouldn't exist. A 405-kilometer arc in Mongolia, with gaps so wide an army could march through, but historians call it defensive. Walk with me through what archaeologists actually found and what they still cannot explain. 1.5 meters wide. Arched ceilings matching Longshan period cave architecture. Tool marks visible on every wall. The city dates back 4,300 to 4,500 years. That places construction around 2,300 to 2,500 BC, 8 centuries before Emperor Qin Shi Huang was born. 1.38 million square meters of settlement, triple defense walls, elaborate gate systems. And beneath all of it runs a network of passages that archaeologists describe as sophisticated military infrastructure. Here's the problem. The Longshan period people built with rammed earth and stone for surface structures. Why tunnel? The effort to carve through bedrock with Bronze Age tools would have killed hundreds. The city sits above ground with clear sight lines across the Hun River Valley. Defensive advantages everywhere. Yet someone chose to dig beneath the surface and create a hidden transportation system that connects parts of the settlement invisible to anyone above. The Chinese Academy of Social Sciences published this in Archaeology magazine and Heritage Daily on December 28, 2023. 6 tunnels fully documented, width and height measured, tool marks photographed, but purpose? Still labeled as likely military, not confirmed military. Likely. That's the word they use when the evidence doesn't fit the theory. Solid and robust, the reports say. These bricks match construction techniques from much earlier periods. The passages stretch 65 kilometers east to west, 25 kilometers north to south, 1,600 square kilometers of underground network, complete with ventilation holes, lampstands, heatable brick beds, camouflaged exits, locking gates. The kind of infrastructure that takes decades to build and requires thousands of workers. Local legends credit General Yang and his family. 3 generations of generals. But no dynasty records confirm this. No archaeological evidence links the tunnels to any specific construction period. They exist. They're sophisticated. They're massive. And nobody knows exactly when or why they were built. The tunnels are called the Underground Great Wall, first reported in Ancient Origins, citing research from Yongqing, Xiong County, and Bazhou. Experts excavated similar passages across the region. The structures are too elaborate for simple escape routes, too extensive for temporary wartime construction. The blue brick quality indicates major investment, yet historical records stay silent. Also, this script is researched and factual using sources from the Chinese Academy of Social Sciences, published in December 2023, Archaeology magazine, Heritage Daily, and the Journal of Field. Archaeology published December 2023 with research from Hebrew University, Jerusalem, and the National University of Mongolia. These are peer-reviewed archaeological publications with physical evidence and site documentation. Not speculation. Now back to the information. Centimeter resolution, continuous shooting. Over 2 million images captured since 2018. Through historical Ming Dynasty documents, they identified 130 physical remains of secret doors, then matched those to locations. The exits facing enemies are camouflaged with brick. The internal side is hollow. Soldiers break through from inside like cracking an eggshell for surprise attacks. Lija from the research team describes each door as unique, designed according to local terrain. Some doors allow only 1 person width, others accommodate 2 horses passing in both directions. Ming Dynasty records document that nomadic tribes from Qinghai and Hetao were permitted to use certain larger secret gates for grazing. This contradicts everything about the wall's defensive purpose. Why build a defensive barrier then punch holes through it? Why allow potential enemies controlled access through hidden passages? The Global Times and China Daily reported this, January 10th, 2023. The research team presented findings at Tianjin Museum. Zhang Yukun states clearly the Great Wall was not completely closed, but regularly opened for business exchanges. Secret doors hide the secrets of the Great Wall, Lija says, and they still do. Because while we know they exist and we know some were used for trade, the question remains, why build them secret at all? Why camouflage rather than simply construct official gates? Why leave the external side indistinguishable from solid wall? Built sometime between 1100 and 1300 AD. Jin Dynasty most likely 1215 to 1234. But unconfirmed. The wall is barely visible in many sections. 1.5 meters tall where it stands, often worn down to almost nothing. 2.5 meters wide at the top, 14 meters at the base. A trench runs along the northern side. 34 structures dot its length. Here's what stops researchers cold. Around 1/4 of the wall's length is gaps, not erosion, not destruction. Never built. Gideon Shellak-Lavi from Hebrew University. Department of Asian Studies led the study published in the Journal of Field Archaeology, late December 2023. The team surveyed the entire arc using ground and drone documentation. They concluded the gaps were intentional. Chinese historian Wang Guowei proposed in 1921 that hasty construction caused the gaps. Fear of Genghis Khan's rise drove Jin dynasty builders to rush work. The December 2023 study provides first archaeological evidence supporting this. Except when Shellak-Lavi's team visited the site, they discovered the wall would have been a poor defensive structure. It wouldn't stop armies. 34 structures lack line of sight with each other. Most sit in low lying areas, not defensive positions. The study states clearly it was more likely built to monitor and control the movement of people, including mobile groups of herders, not to stop Genghis Khan to control local nomads. Then why the gaps? If you're controlling movement, you need continuous barrier. If you're monitoring people, you need sight lines. The Mongolian arc provides neither. Shellak-Lavi admits the wall's exact function is still enigmatic, even after the survey. That's the word used in Vice reporting August 5th, 2024. Enigmatic. Study completed, purpose unknown. Great Wall. Jiangsu leads the team. Multiple dating techniques. Carbon-14, optically stimulated luminescence, soil sampling, plant silica studies. The results push Great Wall origins back 300 years. Late Western Zhou Dynasty, 1046 BC to 771 BC, or early spring and autumn, period 770 BC to 476 BC. Approximately 8th century BC. The oldest walls measure 10 meters thick. Foundation possibly Zhou Dynasty. Later, Warring States period construction, 475 BC to 221 BC shows advanced techniques, up to 30 meters width. Final phase under King Xuan of Qi, 350 to 301 BC, uses fine yellow earth compacted with metal rammers. Here's what they found underneath. 2 Zhou Dynasty semi-subterranean dwellings, square foundations, rounded corners. These homes were built before the wall. The wall was constructed over a settlement. Why? Defensive walls get built in strategic locations. High ground, river crossings, mountain passes, not over villages. Unless the village itself held strategic value, or unless builders needed to erase something. 1.5 kilometers north, archaeologists identified Pinyin City, ancient Qi state stronghold mentioned in Zuo Zhuan and Water Classic commentary. Western city wall extends 500 meters. Defensive trenches, fortified gates, all matching historical texts. So Pinyin City provided the defense. The Qi wall was built nearby. Then why construct over the village? The excavation report published February 20th, 2025 in Archaeology magazine states this is the first proactive excavation of the Qi Great Wall after years of preliminary surveys. Previous research from 2008 to 2010 focused on distribution and preservation. 2022 exploration identified underground remnants of missing sections. Missing sections. Underground remnants. Portions of this wall were deliberately buried or never surfaced. Structure. These segments run beneath the visible wall line, parallel but offset, as if 2 different construction projects happened centuries apart and somebody tried to align them. The 2024 excavation was designed to investigate this. Jiangsu told Global Times the layout, location, and associated infrastructure reflect advanced military planning. But advanced planning doesn't explain building over a village or burying segments that should be visible. The report concludes there are still secrets to reveal along the length of the wall. These discoveries highlight the need for continued research. Translation of the findings raised more questions than answers. Tang Dynasty 618 to 907. Song Dynasty 960 to 1279. Ming and Qing dynasties 1368 to 1911. All recorded secret exits. Scholars wrote about them for over 1,000 years, but until January 2023, no physical evidence of these exits existed. The team found them. Exits where the side facing enemies is camouflaged brick, internal side hollow, breakthrough from inside, surprise attack capability, standard military engineering. Except there's one detail buried in the China Daily Report, January 10th, 2023. Some structures don't have line of sight to main passes. They sit kilometers away from any gate or defensive position. Their locations follow streams and low ground, not defensive terrain. These doors weren't positioned for military surprise attacks. They were positioned for something else. Movement without observation, access without record. The China Daily article states nomadic tribes were allowed to use larger secret doors for grazing between Qinghai and Hetao. Ming Dynasty official documents confirm this. But Ming Dynasty also built the most heavily fortified sections of the Great Wall. Why allow unrestricted passage through secret doors while investing millions in wall construction? Zhang Yuken says it proves the Great Wall was open in order. Open in order. What order? Whose order? The documents don't specify. But scattered sections, particularly in Gansu province and Ningxia, show arrow slits facing south, toward China. A post on the History Channel's research forum from multiple investigators documented this. Coordinates provided, photographic evidence. The slits point the wrong direction. Genova Chen responded on X October 12th, 2024, explaining most Great Wall sections have arrow slits on both sides. Outer-facing slits are larger diamond-shaped for scouting and shooting. Inner-facing slits are smaller, no watch slits above them, flat wall tops, because there's no need to watch for invaders from inside. The Great Wall was built over hundreds of years by various dynasties. Many periods, China broke into smaller countries led by local warlords. Defending from both sides became necessary. This explains bilateral defenses during civil war. It doesn't explain why some remote sections far from civil war zones have inward-facing slits. It doesn't explain why certain Gansu and Ningxia sections show primary defenses oriented south. These sections weren't built during warring states periods. They date to unified dynasty construction. Ming Dynasty records show these sections as border control, not internal defense. Yet the architecture suggests otherwise. The forum post from GreatWallForum.com documents this without explanation. Researchers noted it, photographed it, moved on. Brick weight specifications, kiln operations data, construction dates. But archaeologists working the Jiangku section near Beijing discovered something else, an inscription on a brick from Ming Dynasty, Popular Mechanics. Reported this December 9th, 2024, and Yahoo News December 10th, 2024. The inscription reads, "Nothing but alcohol or worry. 3 years of toil turned my hair white." Personal testimony, emotional record, not quality control. This brick came from storage rooms in Watchtower 118. The same excavation uncovered an immigration monument from 1573 in Watchtower 117, a 247-pound cannon dated 1632. Remains of crops, wheat millet beans, animal bones showing butchering marks, medicinal plant remains, and 28 turquoise artifacts likely from Hubei, Henan, and Shaanxi provinces. Evidence of trade, daily life, cultural exchange. Shang Heng from Beijing, Institute of Archaeology, states these findings transform the Great Wall from a cold military structure into a living historical landscape. Except they also reveal something nobody talks about. The inscription about hair turning white in 3 years of toil. This worker wasn't assigned short-term labor. 3 years, continuous construction on one section suggests permanent workforce. Not conscripted peasants rotated through. Not soldiers serving tours. Permanent builders. Who were they? Why permanent? The inscription's tone is despair. Alcohol or worry? Not pride. Not duty. Suffering. This matches the legend that 400,000 workers died during construction, earning the wall its nickname longest cemetery on Earth. But it contradicts official narratives about voluntary service or military labor. The brick itself is physical evidence of misery preserved in clay and fired at high temperature into permanence. Scholars continue to struggle to decode these enigmatic markings, the article states. If inscriptions are quality control, why use cryptic symbols? Why unknown characters? Workers would use recognizable script for accountability, unless the symbols weren't for quality control, unless they meant something else. The article provides no examples of decoded symbols, no translation attempts published, just acknowledgement that some exist and nobody can read them. This appeared in multiple sources. Brightside, March 21st, 2023. Horizon Explorer, May 1st, 2025. 10 things you didn't know about the Great Wall of China. Documents unusual carvings, symbols, and inscriptions not fully translated or understood. These markings may include military codes, religious symbols, or graffiti from different eras. Some symbols suggest ritual practices or spiritual beliefs. Others remain enigmatic. The article specifically uses the word enigmatic again. Standard archaeological term for we don't know. The markings exist. They're documented. They're photographed. They sit in plain view on bricks along the most visited structure on Earth, and they remain unexplained. It helps our work continue. Comment which city you're hearing this from. This research comes from multiple peer-reviewed sources. Journal of Field Archaeology, December 2023. China Daily, January 10th, 2023. Archaeology Magazine, December 28th, 2023, and February 20th, 2025. Global Times Reporting, Popular Mechanics, December 9th, 2024. These are established publications with editorial standards and archaeological oversight. Not conspiracy theory, not speculation. Published research showing documented mysteries. Now back to the wall. All true, but incomplete. In 2010, Dr. Bingjin Zhang and colleagues from Zhejiang University analyzed mortar samples from the 600-year-old city wall in Nanjing. National Geographic, May 3rd, 2021. The mortar contained amylopectin, a complex carbohydrate from sticky rice. The rice was boiled into soup mixed with slaked lime, creating inorganic organic composite mortar. Chemical analysis and scanning electron microscopy showed the amylopectin caused smaller calcium carbonate crystals, forming more compact structure. Sticky rice lime mortar tested 3 times stronger than pure lime mortar. Some Ming Dynasty tombs built with this mortar resisted bulldozers. One tomb was so firm a bulldozer could do nothing about it, researchers wrote. The wall's mortar continues chemical reactions over time, becoming stronger with age. This explains why 500-year-old sections withstand earthquakes, while modern concrete structures crumble. The technique originated around 1,500 years ago, according to the study. But here's what makes it mysterious. The innovation wasn't recorded in any major engineering text. No imperial decree mandated sticky rice mortar. No construction manual detailed the formula. Workers used it. It spread across Ming Dynasty construction. Temples, pagodas, city walls, tombs, all incorporated sticky rice. Then, after the Ming Dynasty ended in 1644, the technique vanished. Qing Dynasty, 1644 to 1911, returned to traditional lime mortar. The knowledge disappeared from practice and from records. It only resurfaced when modern chemists analyzed ancient samples. Why? If you discover a building material 3 times stronger than standard mortar, why wouldn't you document it? Why wouldn't it become official imperial policy? Why did it fade from use? The Zhejiang University study published in the Journal of the American Chemical Society provides the chemistry. Amylopectin enhances cohesive forces, higher compressive and flexural strength, greater mechanical storage, more compatible for restoration. They understand how it works. They don't understand the social history, why it started, why it stopped, why it wasn't recorded. The team collected samples from 8 different Ming Dynasty sections, built between 1368 and 1644. 67% contained biocrusts. Xiao called them ecosystem engineers. Portable mechanical testing both on site and in laboratories measured mechanical strength and soil stability. Samples with biocrusts tested 3 times stronger than bare rammed earth. Moss was particularly hardy. The organisms aren't just growing on the wall, they're integrating into the structure, reinforcing it, creating a hybrid organic-inorganic composite that increases stability. This is accidental. Nobody engineered moss into the wall. Yet somehow the wall's construction allows moss colonization in ways that strengthen rather than degrade the structure. Modern concrete degrades when moss grows. Water infiltration, cracking, eventual collapse. The Great Wall does the opposite. The presence of life makes it stronger. Researchers documented this, measured it, published it, but explaining why the specific mortar composition encourages beneficial rather than destructive biological growth, that's still unclear. The chemistry is understood, the biology is understood, the intersection is documented. The reason it works remains in that gray zone where observations precede full understanding. 2015. 9 new sections located in northwest China, discovered by researchers working systematically across terrain. Lerner Publishing Group reported this officially. August 2011. Gobi Desert Expedition uncovered long-forgotten section. These aren't reconstructions. Their original construction never documented. Found using satellite imagery, LiDAR ground-penetrating radar. Each discovery adds questions. If we're still finding major sections in 2015 and 2011, how complete is our map? The Great Wall is stated as 13,000 miles total, but that includes multiple overlapping structures, trenches, natural barriers, satellite walls built across dynasties, some buried, some eroded, some hidden by development and vegetation. Full extent remains debated. New segments continue discovery through satellite and archaeological research. We don't know how long it actually is. We know how much we found, different numbers. The 2015 discovery added hundreds of kilometers. The 2011 discovery revealed wall sections in areas mapped as empty desert. Each new find shifts estimates. The 2012 government survey admitted many sections were identified by remains only, stone foundations, earthen berms. Some sections estimated from historical texts without physical confirmation. So when we say the Great Wall is 13,000 miles long, we mean that's how much we've confirmed so far. Give or take a few hundred miles. Give or take centuries of construction we haven't carbon dated. These structures stood in mountainous terrain accessed only by steep climbs. Yet they contained heated brick beds, stoves, storage rooms, full habitation infrastructure. Watchtower 118 held the largest heated brick bed ever found at Jiangku. The Travel, December 15th, 2024, an Indian Defense Review, December 15th, 2024, reported this. Soldiers stationed here lived year-round. Temperatures in this region dropped below freezing 5 months annually. The heated beds, called kang, provided sleeping platforms above the frigid stone floors. But building these required massive material transport up mountain paths barely passable. Bricks, mortar, fuel for heating, Food supplies, water. Everything carried by hand or pack animal. The 3 watchtowers are spaced less than 1 kilometer apart, within shouting distance. Why build 3 identical structures so close together? One larger watchtower would house the same number of soldiers with less construction effort, unless the spacing had different purpose, signal relay, overlapping observation fields, triangulation for target ranging. The excavation report doesn't specify, it documents what exists. 3 towers, identical design, close proximity, purpose unstated. Shang Hung said the research will continue under a new 5-year archaeology plan focusing on studying older sections before restoration. Future excavations may clarify. For now, the towers sit as another documented oddity, but they also found over 24 non-crop plants, some medicinal. Radiocarbon dating shows plant remains from late Ming to mid-Qing period, meaning the wall remained occupied after the Qing took power in 1644. The Qing dynasty, Manchu rulers from Manchuria, the same northern peoples, the wall was built to stop. They conquered China, established Qing dynasty, and continued manning the wall. Against whom? The wall's defensive purpose ended when its target became its administrator. Yet soldiers remained stationed, fed, supplied with medicine, kept in heated watchtowers through winter. Archaeological evidence shows continuous occupation through at least early 18th century. Why maintain a wall designed to stop northern invasions when northern people control both sides? The standard answer is the Qing repurposed the wall for internal control, monitoring trade, managing population movement. But that explains policy. It doesn't explain why remote mountain watchtowers required permanent garrisons. These weren't trade route positions. They weren't population centers. They were defensive installations in terrain too difficult for casual crossing. Someone considered them necessary. Someone invested resources to maintain them. The medicinal plants suggest medical care for stationed soldiers, not emergency supplies. Regular treatment, implying health issues required ongoing management. What health issues? Cold exposure, altitude sickness, diet deficiency, or something else about the location that required medical support? The plant remains sit in Beijing. Institute of Archaeology storage, documented, cataloged, unexplained. Mongols primarily. This makes sense for border regions. High traffic invasion routes, strategic passes, but vast stretches run through areas where no invasion occurred. Ever, no battles, no skirmishes, not even raids. Yet construction continued with same intensity. The History Forum documents this. Why does wall run along impossible mountains where not even nomads could reach? If defense is goal, you fortify invasion routes. You don't wall off impossible terrain, unless the wall wasn't about stopping invasions, unless it marked something else, territory, resources, boundaries. Some argue it functioned as customs barrier, controlling trade between agricultural China and pastoral Mongolia. Makes sense for sections with gates, less sense for secret doors allowing 2 horse traffic, even less for mountainous sections with no roads. You can't collect customs on trade routes that don't exist. Tartaria theory suggests the wall might contain population rather than exclude invaders. Arrow slits facing south support this. Mainstream archaeology rejects Tartaria as pseudo-history. The arrow slits remain unexplained. Civil War defense explains some bilateral fortifications, not all. Not remote sections built during unified dynasties with no Civil War context. Yet inward-facing defenses exist. Multiple dynasties, different political situations, varying threats. It shouldn't surprise that purposes differed across time and location, but evidence suggests something stranger: simultaneous construction of contradictory features. Defensive walls with hidden passages, border controls with secret gates, military fortifications and unreachable mountains. These aren't sequential contradictions from changing needs. They're contemporary contradictions from same construction phases. The Ming Dynasty, 1368 to 1644, built the most extensive sections, all within 276 years. Yet Ming sections show all these contradictions. Secret doors, mountain fortifications, inward-facing slits, all Ming period, all built under relatively consistent political structure with similar defensive needs. This is what stops researchers. Not the presence of mysteries, the presence of systematic contradictions. The city protected Yellow River routes, controlled border access between key state and 3 Jin states, major military site during Eastern Zhou Dynasty, 770 to 256 BC. So defensive infrastructure existed, documented, excavated. The Qi Wall ran nearby. Then why build over the village settlement? Why bury Zhou Dynasty homes under foundations? Jiangsu told Global Times the wall served not only defense, but strategic role in controlling key routes. Pinyin already controlled those routes. It had walls, gates, soldiers, administration. The Qi Wall was redundant unless it served different purpose. The excavation report states findings reveal construction in multiple stages. Early walls 10 meters thick, later walls 30 meters wide. Final phase using advanced techniques. This suggests expanding defensive needs. But expanding defenses typically mean reinforcing existing structures, making them higher, thicker, adding watchtowers, not building over settlements, not creating parallel walls offset from defensive positions. Underground remnants discovered 2022 complicate this. Portions buried beneath visible structures. Were they old walls covered by new, abandoned construction, deliberately hidden? Ground-penetrating radar shows them. Excavation may eventually expose them. Until then, they remain underground, documented, unmapped. Hundreds of excavations, millions of photographs, comprehensive surveys. Each discovery answers questions and raises new ones. This pattern is normal in archaeology. You find something, study it, understand part, realize how much you don't understand. The Great Wall's scale makes this exponential. 13,000 plus miles, 2,000 plus years, dozens of dynasties, hundreds of construction phases, millions of workers, billions of bricks, each potentially carrying information, each section potentially hiding secrets. The sticky rice mortar was unknown until 2010, despite being visible everywhere. Secret doors unconfirmed until 2023, despite being recorded for 1,000 years. Mongolian art gaps unexplained until 2023. Hocheng-Zui tunnels announced December 2023. Oldest Qi wall excavated 2024. These are recent discoveries, recent confirmations of old suspicions. We're not uncovering new construction. We're finally seeing what's been in front of us. When gaps in defensive walls are intentional, when arrows slits face wrong directions, when mortar gets stronger with age, these aren't unsolved mysteries from missing evidence. Evidence is abundant, photographed, measured, carbon dated, published in peer-reviewed journals. The mystery is synthesis. How do all these facts fit into coherent explanation? Maybe they don't. Maybe the Great Wall isn't one story, but hundreds. Different sections built for different reasons by different people with different goals. That would explain contradictions. It wouldn't explain systematic patterns. The secret doors follow terrain logic. The tunnels connect strategic points. The inscriptions follow consistent placement even when content is unknown. Something organized this. We see the system's effects. We don't see the system. The Great Wall exists. Thousands of miles. Built over thousands of years. Millions died. Immeasurable resources. One of history's greatest engineering achievements. Multiple dynasties invested everything to build and maintain it. That investment requires powerful motivation. Powerful enough to sacrifice generations. To bankrupt treasuries. To continue even when defensive needs became unclear. What drives that? Fear of invasion explains some. Not all. Doing trade control explains some. Not all. Territorial marking explains some. Not all. Each explanation works for sections and fails for others. A comprehensive theory would account for secret doors and mountain fortifications, for trade passages and inward-facing slits, for intentional gaps and buried segments, for continuous construction and abandoned sections. No existing theory does that. Archaeologists admit this. The Journal of Field Archaeology concludes the Mongolian ark's function is still enigmatic. The Chinese Academy of Social Sciences states Hocheng-Zui tunnels are likely military, not confirmed. Jiangsu says the Qi wall still has secrets. These aren't research failures. These are admissions that evidence doesn't support definitive conclusions. More excavation brings more evidence. That evidence may clarify or reveal deeper complexities. The wall continues to surprise. Each generation thinks they've figured it out. Each discovers they were partially right and mostly incomplete. 20th century research established basic chronology. 21st century research rewrites it. Ming sections contain song techniques. Song sections show Han design. Han sections incorporate warring states infrastructure. The timeline isn't clean. Construction wasn't linear. Different dynasties rebuilt on earlier foundations, sometimes incorporating, sometimes demolishing, sometimes working around in ways that create puzzles. The Qi wall built over Zhou homes. Ming walls contain Tang materials, Qing occupation of Ming fortifications. Each layer adds information and obscures earlier context. Archaeologists must carefully document position of every brick, every tool mark, because once disturbed, the original configuration is lost. The Jiangku excavation took months for 3 watchtowers, thousands of photographs, precise measurements, artifact cataloging. Because rushing destroys evidence, patience reveals details. Details reveal patterns. Patterns suggest explanations. But explanations remain tentative. That's accurate for some sections. Misleading for the whole. The complexity doesn't fit brochures, so it gets simplified, ignored. Most people think they know the Great Wall when they've only seen its surface. They've walked the top. They haven't seen foundations, haven't examined inscriptions, haven't stood in underground tunnels or measured secret door dimensions or traced the Mongolian ark's gaps. They've experienced 1% and extrapolated meaning, like describing a body by examining fingernails. The Great Wall has many organs. Understanding one doesn't illuminate others. Understanding all doesn't explain how they work as system. That remains beyond current research. The evidence of systematic planning is everywhere. Consistent secret doors across thousands of miles. repeated tunnels under fortifications, building through impossible terrain. These suggest coordination beyond local needs. Someone drew comprehensive plans. Someone enforced standards. Someone maintained knowledge across generations and dynasties. We see results. We don't see the mind behind it. Each piece adds to the puzzle. Archaeology is predictable in method and unpredictable in result. You excavate carefully, document thoroughly, publish findings, then wait to see if it makes sense, sometimes immediately. Sometimes it takes decades. The sticky rice mortar was sampled for years before 2010 analysis. The secret doors were photographed in documents centuries before 2023 confirmation. The Mongolian Ark was surveyed multiple times before 2023 study recognized original gaps. Evidence accumulates slowly, understanding lags. Eventually patterns clear, or new evidence overturns old patterns. Knowledge advances through fits and starts. Ground-penetrating radar showed underground structures LiDAR missed. Future technologies will show what current tools can't see. Chemical analysis will identify materials we haven't tested. DNA analysis might reveal worker populations. Isotope analysis could trace bricks to quarries. Each method adds perspective. The wall was built 2,000 years ago. We've studied it seriously for maybe 50 years with modern techniques. That's 1/40th of its lifespan. We're early in this process. What seems mysterious now might be obvious in 20 years. What seems clear might be misunderstanding. In the precise measurements, in the consistent arched ceiling, in the strategic connections. The reason was important enough to justify the labor. The labor was brutal enough to leave permanent marks. Those marks wait for interpretation. Stone is patient. The Great Wall has been waiting 2,000 years to be understood. It can wait longer. Comment from which city you're listening. Remember, every stone in that wall was placed by someone who had a reason. We're still figuring out what those reasons were.